Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I've got a bit of a fun video for you called If You Don't Use It, You Lose It. It's like one of those old school philosophical commentaries. I was just totally feeling it today. I wanted to be here in green screen as well, but unfortunately with the green hair, the top of my head just disappears and I kind of look like a crazy person. I'm kind of tired of looking like the sunken head meme guy. So maybe I'll shave my head in the near future and return to webcam form. What you're seeing is gameplay from day 3 of me relearning mouse and keyboard on Apex Legends, and I really missed Apex Legends, okay? I adored that game. I stopped playing Apex like full stop in October to focus on Call of Duty really hard, and because the sponsored deal, that had to be console as well, so I also put away my mouse and keyboard skills. Now that I'm on vacation, for lack of a better word, I'm actually trying to think of more fun and creative projects to do, and they're all PC oriented, so I'm like, yeah, I'll just hop back on my PC and get back to doing what I was doing. Oh my god, now I'm terrible. Unfortunately, I had lost, or probably still have, would be a better word, all of my PC skills. I couldn't hit anything. My aim, my tracking was worse than just standing still and letting them walk across the bullets. It was miserable. You guys probably saw the first couple of Apex streams back. It was a rough watch. Godspeed to all of you that watched me on Mixer, because I probably wouldn't have watched me either. However, after spending about 3 days of getting pounded, my brain finally woke up and it started doing some tracking. It started doing some aiming. It changed its response time, its reaction time. It started adapting to the environment. And the gameplay that you see here it's a very long way from aim god. I'm definitely not going to be the next Shroud, but I would call this barely competent aiming. And it sort of feels good to slip back into an old skill, because over the past couple of years, I put a lot of effort into mastering mouse and keyboard, and probably not mastering, getting better at it, getting competent at it, because I do enjoy PC gaming. But, I found myself wondering, just the other day after this stream, what if I had waited longer? What if I just had decided to stick with COD longer, didn't do PC enough? Would I have totally lost this skill set? Would I be not able to do mouse and keyboard at all? And the honest answer is yes. Probably, which is the topic of today's video. The advice in this video is generally geared toward a younger audience who hasn't lived long enough to forget an entire skill set, and some of you haven't lived long enough to develop a skill set, yes, much less like develop and then forget about it. But back to the main point, if I had waited maybe a few more months, maybe if I'd completed 1 full year of no PC games, my aim would be 0. It's not great right now, but I would have truly gone back to the absolute beginning, never used a mouse and keyboard, what is this in my hand, it doesn't make any sense, novice level, and I would have to relearn everything from scratch. So everything that I had done in the past years, I would have had to redo to get up to the level that I wanted to be at. And starting from scratch, I know some people see this as sort of a fun challenge, and that can be fun when you're, learning a new game, when you're doing something exciting, when I'm going to try this new kind of art, when I want to try this new sport, and, mastering and growing is great. But relearning general skill sets is actually really, really rough. Like if you, for those of you that are in any sort of job field and you've had to re-get your certifications, nursing, EMS, stuff like that. If you've had a physical trainer, you have to get certifications. Even though you know the stuff, you have to redo it all. For my instance, that was mouse and keyboard, or engineering we'll talk about later. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of very basics that you have to relearn. It's literally like going back to school, and it's so hard. Relearning basic mechanics is just super boring and a little bit depressing. And real life can be like that too, because in a different lifetime, I trained to be an engineer. That's what I went to college for. I got a degree in it, then I got an MBA, and then I got some certifications for some other things, and I don't use any of those things. I have literally spent the last decade of my life making videos and playing video games. I think I've done quite well on that. I think I made, good decisions, but that I have not really used engineering or MBA or any of these other skills. I've learned totally new skill sets. Those were the fun kinds of challenges. I learned about marketing in general and about myself. I learned about art, cinematography, sound design, algorithm optimization, search engine optimization. I learned a lot about voice acting and voice work because I had an extremely damaged speaking voice due to some things in childhood. You can go back to the early videos and you can see that my voice is just radically different. So I've had to literally relearn how to speak. I've had to learn how to have fun in a public space, how to express emotion and stuff like that. It's been a totally different skill set than what you learn in engineering, which is math, and a little bit of physics. The downside is I'd have done none of that math and physics in a very, very long time. And I'm pretty sure that I've almost completely lost all of my engineering skills. It was painfully obvious this Christmas when my brother-in-law, who has a master's in engineering, actually a step above me, came over and started talking. And he kind of assumed, that whatever he talked about, I could keep up with because I was a fellow engineer, or I was a former engineer, somebody who understands his struggle, understands his knowledge, and everything that he's gone through and what he's learned. But I almost couldn't. I was really struggling to keep up with the conversations when he started talking about more advanced stuff. I knew the basic concepts, but I was completely lost in the depth of it. I could almost not contribute to the conversation any more than a regular person unless he just got lucky and hit the one keyword that I happened to remember. And I remember sitting there talking to him and thinking what is the formula for pressure in a circular rod? When do we apply Bernoulli's equation? What is the things we have to do? And, we talk about some math, and then I realized, holy crap, I cannot do derivatives in my head anymore. Those are gone. I take that back. Not derivatives, integrals. I can do derivatives in my head. Integrals have completely evaporated. That mental math is gone. And when he started talking about electricity, I realized how very little I know about electricity. I was like, oh God, I remember this. Yeah, electricity does work like that. And sometime over a couple of days during our conversations, it finally hit me that even if I wanted to, I can no longer go back to engineering. Well, definitely not without not a short transition. I would have to almost start from scratch. I would probably have to take literally 2 to 3 years of courses and training to train up again and relearn everything that I did before, and it would be brutal. It would be painful, monotonous, and boring. And that's when I realized I truly have lost a skill set. I have taken a fundamentally important, challenging, and gigantic portion of my life, and I've basically lost it. I have kept some things, there's some things you don't forget, you change and you can, cross-apply, that carries over to in-depth and stuff like that. But to truly be an engineer, I can't do that. And I passed on that opportunity to be an engineer so that I could chase another opportunity to do a different thing for a living, which is video games. So by giving up one opportunity, I gained another, and I think I made the right choice. The video game train has been great overall, but it's kind of scary to think that I can no longer go back. The bridges are burned, the paths are done, and you can no longer recover. It comes to mind because I'm sort of facing a similar decision right now on YouTube. I'm kind of trying to decide what I want to focus on for the future of this channel. I don't know if I'm going to continue to do Call of Duty indefinitely, if I'm going to swap over to be like general gaming, just any kind of game I feel like playing. If I want to do Let's Plays, walkthroughs, if I kind of want to do a more personality-based stream where I'm streaming with friends and having fun and making butt jokes and stuff like that. I kind of don't think I'm the guy for that. And that's a totally different skill set that I never bothered to master. So I'd be starting from scratch there too. I think I could transition maybe more easily into being a serious reviewer of games, but that would require a lot of changes as well. And I've even considered doing a total channel conversion, shutting down all gaming and going for a 100% like pro-environment, anti-global warming, like big clean up the horrible rivers in China filled with plastic and the big garbage patch and put out the fires in the rainforest, like a big environmental channel, because that's important for me. That's a massive risk. Those are skill sets I also don't have. But whichever one of these things that I choose to do, if I stick with it for more than just a little bit of time, what's ultimately going to happen is that the other paths behind me are going to close up. So if I did, let's say a serious game reviewer for a long time, I couldn't bounce back into doing Call of Duty. Or if I actually did this whole crazy environmental thing and I, by some miracle, made a successful pro-environmental YouTube channel, then I probably couldn't go back to gaming because eventually I would lose the skills. I would have to focus on other things in my life. And, there's never any shame in, crossing skills over from one set to another. And there's never any shame in learning or trying new things. That's definitely not what I'm trying to encourage in this video. I'm not trying to tell you guys to stick with what you're doing and only master one thing. You should definitely learn as many things as you can and try a whole bunch of stuff. But I, and you as well, need to be mindful that if we truly disavow an entire skill set for long enough, if you truly don't use it, you will lose it eventually. It takes a long time depending on the person and how applicable and what your situation is like. That can be anywhere from a month to a couple of years. but it can really happen. And all of this applies to you watching the video. That's kind of what I wanted to hit home with. You might be great at something right now. You might be the best person you know at something, fantastic at it. But if you don't practice it every day, you will lose it. That's another important thing, is you do have to keep the practice up to keep the skill set fresh and going. And if you don't practice, bad things can happen. But if you're like, all right, I've already totally mastered this thing, I've hit my peak, I'm done, I'm going to put it away and never touch it again, and you come back 2 years later, you probably can't do it. It won't work quite the same. So when you choose your paths in life, you have to be willing to completely give up on some dreams in order to chase others. So my advice to you is to choose wisely. Guys, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I don't know what anybody learns from me, to be honest. I just talk about things that I think about and feel, and you guys seem to enjoy it. So if you did enjoy this kind of commentary, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.